My clock, I'm informed, is off, so we want to get this thing started, so we got to stay on time. School board forum, of course, is first, followed by the city council and the mayor's forum. And first was a few introductions. My name's Larry Hodgson. I'm representing the Tipton Education Boosters tonight as the moderator of the school board portion of the forum. And we have tonight with us 3 school board candidates. We have Heidi Shoemaker, Matt LaFrenz, and Holly Schultz are with us tonight. And absent are Kirby Bierman and Luann Helms. And they did have an opportunity to send me a message or a statement on what we're going to talk about or what I'd like to have them present to you. And so I've got something I'll be reading from them in a little bit. Welcome to all of you. Appreciate you all coming in. It's great to have the community concerned about what is going on in the school and, of course, city council, city business as well. So I think with that, we'll get ourselves up and going. And I know they're all going to raise their hand when I ask them who wants to go first. So what I'm going to do, just to kind of break the ice a little bit, I'll read one of the messages we got from one of the candidates to start out, and that'll kind of relax them a little bit so they can feel more comfortable. I got and of course, these 2 candidates that couldn't be here were out of town for a couple of reasons, and so they apologize that they weren't able to be here. So we're going to tell you a little bit about them. If you don't know them, you maybe learn a little something about them when I read the message, and hopefully have an opportunity to meet them later. The candidate, one's not here, is Luann Helm. She says she moved to Tipton in 2009 with her husband, Mike Helm. Over the last 14 years, my husband, Mike, and I have spent time getting to know the people in the community and becoming more involved. Through that involvement, we have learned of community members' approval and disapproval with our current administration. I also have a granddaughter that goes to Tipton schools. I have had negative and positive interactions with school staff and have brought those concerns up to previous administration. Through these interactions, I've learned that there are changes that need to be made within the school district. The community has had 2 failed bonds for school improvements, but improvements are still needed. The things I would like to bring more focus on are teacher and staff attention and appreciation. Our teachers need to be appreciated and respected by not only the students, but also the parents and administration. Their pay needs to be comparable to all surrounding areas. Our students need to come to school prepared and ready to learn. I would like to see the schools focus on academic excellence and increase standardized test scores. We need to prepare our future leaders, our students, for what lies ahead. The high school needs lots of TLC, school improvements, and we can't do this without the help of the community. We need to get our parents and community more involved so they can be a part of the solution. I may not have all the answers, but I believe that with the help of everyone, we can accomplish what needs to be done. Please give me a chance to be a voice in our community. And that's from Luann Helm, one of the 5 candidates. And I didn't say it earlier, but how much I appreciate you people being willing to step forward to run for school board, because it is a very important position for the conduct of business at school. And it kind of helps direct the school, to help the administrators stay on task, kind of guide the administrators as they run the school. So it's an important job. I know it's not an easy job either, because I've been on that board, and I think a couple of our people here have been as well. So, okay, so now somebody want to raise their hand and be about Heidi? How about you?
I didn't think my hand came very far off the table. No, I will gladly do that. So my name is Heidi Shoemaker. For those of you that don't know me, I was born and raised here in Tipton, left for a short while, lived not too far away in the Quad Cities. I love this town, I love this school. I do have high expectations, and I feel like for whatever reasons, various reasons, some within our control, some not, that, we're falling a little bit short. So I'm sorry, this was my part where I was just supposed to say who I am. So married to Rick Shoemaker here in town, and 2 children, Erica and Caleb, both also recent graduates of Tipton, as well as my husband, not so recently. But I have had the opportunity to serve on the school board for the last 4 years and had the privilege of serving in the role of the president the last 2. Looking back 4 years ago when a former school board member came up to me at our local Tyson's and said, be patient, it'll take you probably a good 3 to 4 years to figure this out. I was like, there's no way it would take that long. It takes about that long. And, my experience included a pandemic, a couple of school bond attempts. So it wasn't really normal times. So I do feel like even though the work has been very challenging and sometimes exhausting, I am so much more prepared and experienced now, and I would love the opportunity to keep going with what we've been working on. So that's it for me.
Okay. When I told them about the forum, I said we'd give them 10 minutes. And so she's being very brief. But this will give us an opportunity, if you're thinking, try to think of some questions at the end of their time when you've heard from all 5 candidates. If you have some questions for them that they can all ask in general, we'll have time for that as well.
So Larry, I'm sorry, maybe I didn't understand. And that actually was one of my things I wanted to speak to. Like, I think one of the things I've learned is that you do need to stop and ask more questions and listen more. So even though as school board public community members, we look at things and we think change needs to happen, but we might not understand the whole story. So, so what I didn't understand is, would you like me to do my whole thing, or was I just supposed to introduce myself?
We can come back to the rest of those.
Okay.
That's fine. This will work out fine. Just introduce yourselves to start, and then we'll come back and we'll cover some of the areas.
Thank you.
Matt, how about you next?
Yeah, my name is Matt LaFrenz. I'm a 2004 graduate from Tipton here. When I look out here, I see a bunch of former educators that I had throughout school as well, so that's kind of neat to see that here. After college, I went off and played basketball, if anyone could guess. So did that for my college career. Ended up down in Mount Pleasant, got into sales right away out of college. That got me into the insurance business, and about 5 years ago, had the opportunity to take over an agency manager position and move my family back home to what I consider where I wanted my kids to grow up. So with 3 kids now in the school system, back then only 2 kids were in the school system when we moved back, and now all 3 are in the school system. My wife is also a para at the school. She is working towards becoming a teacher as we speak. She's actually in night class right now. So she does that 2 nights a week and every other Saturday, working on becoming getting her teaching certificate. So with the, excuse me, lost my train of thought there. Throughout my sales experience, being involved in many chambers of commerce and Rotary clubs and stuff like that, I just feel like it's time to, step up and do something here for the school that, was so good to me back in the day. So.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Matt. And Holly, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
I will. My name is Holly Schultz. I am married to Joe Schultz. My sister-in-law is way back there. I'll probably look at her most of the time because she's in the comfort spot. I moved here in the summer of '93, and I grew up in the Quad Cities. I graduated here 2003. Then I went away to college at Hawkeye Community College for a criminal justice degree. And then I was a nanny for 2 years and for family in Cedar Rapids. Absolutely love them. Still talk to them and still exchange Christmas cards. I married my high school sweetheart who graduated from here in 2002. And we have 2 children, both in the school system. One is in 4th grade. That's Sean, who is 10. And my daughter is in 2nd grade, who is 8. They keep me on my toes. My husband works for Weavers Inc. here in town, and so he's gone all the time, a lot during the week. So I'm always on the go. In fact, I did Girl Scouts tonight and was hiking in Cedar Valley on the trail, so I'm a little dusty and sweaty, and then came straight here. And that's, I mean, I love my school district, and there are just some things that we need to work on and get better. And I hope that I can help us get to where we need, because like Heidi, I have very high standards for education system. My family on my mom's side is all educators. We have multiple special education principals, superintendents, and we need to do a few things that are better. And I would like to help our community get to where we need to be for our schools.
Thank you, Holly. I think next I'll read some introduction for Kirby Bierman, who isn't here this evening. Kirby, of course, is currently serving on the school board. And some of you know him, some of you don't. Kirby Bierman, of course, is married. His wife is Greta. They have 4 adult children, Sam, Frank, Rachel, and Elizabeth. Sam attended UNI and currently works for the University of Iowa. Frank is attending the University of Minnesota, pursuing a construction management degree, and is on the football team. Rachel, or somebody say something. Rachel's attending the University of Iowa, pursuing a degree in journalism with an emphasis in sports communication. Elizabeth is attending Iowa State University, majoring in kinesiology. Greta and I have both attended TCSD, Tipton Community School District. Each of our children did as well. Tipton has a special place in my heart. After growing up here, I moved away for 15 years, then moved back to Tipton to raise our family. This allows me to have 3 unique perspectives on our district. As a student, as a parent, and now that our children are grown, as a community member working to positively impact current and future students. We live in rural Tipton, and I frequently travel with my job. This limits my ability to volunteer, being a member of the Tipton Community School Board of Directors allows me an opportunity to volunteer my time and give back to the community. And being part of the building and continue the legacy of our school district, Tipton has a proud history of being a school that provides a high-quality education, opportunities to experience various extracurricular opportunities, including athletics, fine arts, academic competitions, and field trip experiences, both in the United States and abroad. As mentioned, I want to continue and build on this legacy. I believe the very definition of creating a legacy is a community that invests in their school and prepares its children to successfully compete in an ever-changing personal and career environment. Okay, so we're going to go back now to through the candidates again, give them an opportunity to expound on some things. Next part of this is what really is motivating you to want to be on the school? What is your main motivation for wanting to be on the board? And you can list more than one thing. So,
well, in this moment, I did go back to why I ran 4 years ago, and I will say one of my things back then was that I felt we needed to improve community awareness and involvement in our school. And I am thrilled to see so many people here tonight. So this is what I wanted. I want people in our community to care what's going on at our school, right? And to have a voice and stay on top of us. So that's wonderful. So that's a big piece of what I'd like to see is our school, our community awareness and involvement in our school, and also supporting our staff and students. We have so many great things going on in our school, and we need to keep promoting those. But we do have some negative things that are going on that we do need to address. So that's also a reason that I want to continue on the school board. I also believe that our communication needs some work, and it's a tough one. There are so many communication platforms now, and trying to figure out how to get word out to everybody, because we all use different means of communication, and figuring out that fine line of how much to communicate. So that's another piece that I'd like us to work on. Definitely staff retention. We need to prioritize. What we can do is prioritize the reasons that staff are choosing to leave that we can control. The relocation for family reasons, better opportunities, like, we only have 3 principal positions here, and if you want to be a principal, it's kind of tough. So, the things that we can control. What I am aware of is they have been repetitively asking us to improve their professional development, and we need to work on that. We need to focus in on the things that they are asking for. Again, back to expectations, we need to do a better job on accountability. We need to set expectations and then address the deficiencies, the shortcomings. And it doesn't mean that a person is the problem. It could be our process, or the lack of clarity on an expectation. Like, together we need to work on why we're falling short. So I think that's what I wrote down.
We're good. Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate that. Matt, we want to maybe follow up with that and cover what motivates you a little bit, and then also look at some of the challenges like Heidi did, some of the things that you see that might create a challenge for a school board member, or for you as a school board member to deal with.
Yeah, so I would say, really over the last few years, I've been approached by multiple people in the community, encouraging me to maybe possibly run for the school board to kind of help bring Tipton into, the next phase of our school district here. And so, over the last couple of years, when we go back to the bond issue, I was asked to be a part of like the community group that sat in on that. Was able to hear a lot of what was being discussed in that. I think that was very beneficial. But then, like as Heidi said, there's probably a communication thing that needs to be worked on, because a lot of the stuff that was being discussed maybe wasn't relayed in the best way possible to the community. So I think when I hear a lot of people talking about the bond issue, there's a lot of misinformation on both sides of it, I think. And I think being able to have that conversation and that communication a lot clearer is going to be beneficial in whatever it is moving forward, not necessarily on a bond issue, but just on the school board in general. So, with my wife now on the track to become a teacher, that's another thing I'm looking at right now is, why are there teachers, like when I was graduated, there's still some of those teachers are still in their same exact position at Tipton School District. Why do we have teachers that have been here 30 years, maybe 20, 30 years, but then we have teachers that only come here for a year or two and then they're gone to a different school district? It feels like Tipton is a stepping stone now where it was a destination. So my thoughts back then is, I actually started in Bennett. So I forgot that part, is I grew up on a farm just 2 miles outside of Bennett. I went to Bennett School District. And then we actually opened a road to Tipton my class only had 7 kids, I think, 8 kids. So, so there were some reasons there, but coming to Tipton was the destination. That's where you wanted to be, I think as a teacher, as a student, and as a student athlete as well, people wanted to be at Tipton. And I think we're losing some of that now. And that just flows right into our town as well. When employers look to move into town, manufacturing companies or anything like that, businesses look to come into a town, what's one of the first things they look at is the school district. If we're falling behind, we're also falling behind in employment opportunities and everything else. And then it's just a trickle down effect. So I think those are some of the big challenges that I see, and just figuring out like the teacher situation, I think is the big thing up front. So, yeah.
We're good, Matt. Ollie, you're up next. You want to do the same as tell us maybe what motivates you and some of the challenges you see in Tipton District and
Yeah.
maybe how you might want to approach some of those.
So the primary reason that made me decide to run for school board is I sat down, and to be quite honest, I looked at my two kids, and I looked at my daughter, who is in second grade and has had a brand new teacher every single year that she's been in school. And that's not fair to her. And I'm not saying that there's anything, and there are longevity teachers that come here and then they leave. Why? Why are they leaving after a year or two? Why can't we keep them? And there has to be, is it a monetary reason? Are they not getting the support that they're asking from the higher administration, from any other administration? And then I look at my son and I think he doesn't even have the only teacher that he has that's still here is Marcy Jetlica. Everybody else, her and Bailey Anderson are the only ones. And Bailey's not a first grade teacher anymore. She's a reading specialist. And other than that, he doesn't have, and again, his teachers have left. And I have two teachers that are sitting in the audience right here that have been here that I went to high school with. My elementary principal's here. And I just feel like we're missing something somewhere. That was my primary reason. And one of the reasons that we moved here in '93 is my parents wanted us to get away from the Quad Cities, wanted us to get away from the crime and all of those things. And they actually sat down and they couldn't decide between Wilton and Tipton. And they compared the school districts. And in the early 90s, we were a better school district than Wilton. And that's why they chose to come here. Now, I will admit I have not looked at it as of now, but I do know that we've lost teachers to the surrounding areas. We've lost them to Wilton. We lost a preschool teacher who was here for years to a smaller community. We lost her to Bennett. And I'm not saying that I don't know the reason that she left, but why did she leave our school district who has more kids, our class sizes are larger, things like that? Is that why? And we need to find out the reasons and we need to get to that point. And then I, along with Matt and some other people, I was a huge supporter of the school bond issue. I talked it up. I talked to multiple people that were on it, and I couldn't figure out why there were people that would vote no. Why wouldn't you want to better your schools to bring in more families and to bring in more jobs and bring in more people to be here? Because a community is built around a school district. And whether people want to admit it or not, if you don't have a good school district, you're not going to have people that want to live here. It's just plain and simple. And the majority of the people that I talked to, when they said, I'm not going to vote for that, I'm not going to vote for my property taxes to go up or to pay more for that, when the school district can't keep a teacher longer than a few years, that's not worth it to me. Why pay for things? But we have windows that are falling out at the high school. And even when I was in school there were no screens on windows. Why? Why is there no screens on our windows? How is our school safe for our kids? I was in school when Columbine happened. And I remember all the doors being locked from then on. And part of the reason that I wanted that is I wanted my kids to be safe, to be able to go to a school that I knew that my kids would be safe there. And part of me is unsure about that until we got the system that we have, because I can't get into the school anymore, and I'm okay with that. But there are some parents that aren't okay with that. Why are you not okay with spending money and putting money into your school district? I mean, I get it, times are tough, everybody is scraping the bottom of the barrel, people are looking for things, and I get it, but you have to give a little to get better and to get things better. It's just, we have to do better, and we have to figure out why people are leaving, why are paras dropping like flies. Is it because they're not getting the support that they need? Is it because is it the pay rate? I looked and I know it's a larger city and we can't compare to that, but there are some paras that are making, anywhere between $16 and $20 an hour in larger cities. Is that because they have better qualifications? Do they have to take certain classes? Are those things that need to be done? Do we need to require more than just a high school education? Do they have to have more than just the bare minimum to be a paraeducator? And why do we expect it to be okay for kids to, pardon my language, to treat their teachers and the paras so bad? Because in my day, and I get things are different, but you don't get to look at a teacher and tell them that, swear at them and throw things and destroy a classroom and expect them to stay. Why? Why do we expect our teachers and our paras to put up with that? And how can we get them more support in the classrooms to try to prevent those and things that happening and get more people involved in that and do all of those things to help stop those things from happening?
Thank you, Holly. To be fair to the two that aren't here, I'm going to read a little more about from each of them to give you a little more insight. Go back to the one from Luann Helm, who wrote. I'm going to go back and cover some of her concerns, which were teacher and staff attention and appreciation. Teachers need to be appreciated and respected by not only the students, but also the parents and the administration, which kind of wraps into something about Holly was saying. The pay needs to be comparable to all surrounding areas. Students need to come to school prepared and ready to learn. And there's a parent function in there too, but we need to work, maybe our parents need to be more a part of our school system too, and get more involved in their kids' education. But she would like to see schools focus on academic excellence and increase the standardized test scores, and need to prepare the future leaders or students for what lies ahead. I read that earlier, but just to recap that. From Kirby Bierman, he did specify some of the challenges facing the school district, and I'm going to bring those up right now. Discipline. This single issue impacts every aspect of delivering safe and effective education and learning. Discipline interrupts instructional time. I assume it means lack of discipline. Interrupts instructional time. Instructional time is the very essence of learning, and when it is interrupted for whatever reason, it's incredibly difficult to make up for this lost time. We see a direct correlation in areas where instruction is interrupted. Levels of proficiency and test scores are lowered. Students and staff are less safe. Whether disruption occurs in the classroom, the hallway, or at recess, our staff and students are being asked to attend, teach, and learn in an unstable and unpredictable environment. And discipline negatively impacts recruitment and retention of staff and students alike. In short, when constantly dealing with various forms of discipline, teachers are unable to do what they do best, teach. They get frustrated with this endless cycle and seek employment elsewhere. This is confirmed by both the recent levels of turnover in our district and subsequent exit interviews. So there's Kirby's take on things. And so I think you three have become pretty outgoing and open with the community. So let's go back, and would you like to add something else? Some more things, thoughts you might have? Heidi or Matt, anybody can start? I'm always
Well, I've got
Heidi.
lots of thoughts.
That's because you're farthest away.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
any of the
how
three,
much time do we have left, Larry? Do you
We're
say?
gonna be good till almost 7
clock on the
o'clock, and we're
wall.
gonna turn it over to the city council. So we've got some time.
Okay.
We will open it up for questions, but if you have some other thoughts you'd like to bring up first.
That's okay, I'll go. Okay, well, again, I'm apparently not really good at following the rules and instructions. So like, I didn't get to my challenges section, so I'm gonna throw that out. Again, it's kind of a repeat of some of the things others have said. So I wrote down Unfortunately, I believe that we have a lack of district level focus. We have amazing, amazing staff, and they have helped us weather through some tough times. So thank you to the teachers in the room. Is it just Marcy?
No.
No. Oh, Rachel and Luke are back there, and Brian. Yeah. Who? Troy. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you to all of you. You've done great things, but at the district level, we need to get focused. And I think I was supposed to ask how to address that. That probably comes a little bit from the school board, so we'll have to work harder at that. It's time to draw a line in the sand and figure out what our priorities are and spend time on that and stop chasing after other stuff. So I also wrote down safety and well-being of our students and staff. To work and press providing appropriate supports for the students and staff so that we're addressing the disrespect and potentially damaging behaviors. Again, I'll bore you with the history of my time on the school board. It seems too long ago that we brought behavior issue to the table and said it needed to be addressed. I'll reflect back on it, and I feel like maybe the board overstepped a little bit by giving our opinion about how to address it. We'll circle back to it, and my stance would now be, we're not going to tell you how to do it, but it needs to be done. So, we had some momentum, but I believe it's fallen away again. So we'll need to hit that. The other thing, a little bit out of our control, but we do need to deal with it, is our funding situation. Money is so important, and we're not really planning for what appears to be a shortcoming on funding. So we need to do better on budgeting and planning and putting our money where it belongs, and we're not spending enough time on that. So that's the challenges part that I wrote down. I still have my section about, plugging myself and why people should vote for me. So let me know what.
We're going to save that for last.
Okay.
So we'll give a little opportunity here, then we'll open this up for questions. Give your people all an opportunity to ask general questions that I think all three can respond to. And Holly and Matt, would like to, anything else you can think of at this moment you'd like to?
Yeah, I got a couple of little points. I think in this town, I don't know if it was this way back when I was in school or not, but I think there's a big disconnect between the city and the school system. And I don't know necessarily why or if that's the way it's always been, but I think that affects a lot of things within the school and city alike. So I think there needs to be better communication between both of those groups as well going forward. And one other thing I'll just add, as a former athlete, or who still thinks he's an athlete and plays an old man's league, maybe hopefully I don't end up like Mark with a bad knee here, but our youth sports, we have very limited access. And as a former athlete, like I said, that was never an issue before. We could get into gyms. It was encouraged for us to get into gyms. But we're limited very, very much. Like we're only allowed to use a 1952 gym for sports because we really can't call the 1925 gym a gym. That is a skating rink before it's a gym. Like it is not safe to be on. But as a youth sports team, we're not even allowed to get into the middle school gym to practice. It sits there empty a lot of times. It's probably sitting there empty right now, but as a youth sports coach, we're not allowed to get in there and let our kids get better, which to me just doesn't make sense, So there needs to be some of that communication open back up, maybe not the city, but with the travel teams that we have for different sports and stuff like that. So that would be my other couple comments, so.
I'll let you add something at this time.
Mine is similar, unfortunately, to Matt's. The communication system somewhere there, it's broken down somewhere, whether it's between the city and parents and teachers. And I feel like there is zero communication from anyone. I've never actually been, probably shouldn't say this, I've never actually been to a school board meeting because I didn't know that they were open to public. I had absolutely no idea that anybody could go to a school board meeting until I started running for them. I just always assumed that they were closed sessions. And maybe that was because I didn't look hard enough, or I didn't ask, or I didn't know that until I had multiple people ask me if I would be willing to run for school board and tell me that I would be great at it and that I would do these things, do good things about it, because as multiple people in my life that know me, I'm not one to shy away from what my opinion is. I don't tend to wear, as my dad would call them, rose-colored glasses. I will tell you how it is, and it may not be politically correct, and I struggle with that sometimes, that I don't say it in the right way, and I always have to remind myself, along with my kids, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And sometimes I think that's where the misconception comes along with communication, is when somebody asks something, or they're asking for help, or they want to have an answer to a question, somebody can say it in a tone of voice that they feel like they are an inconvenience, or that it was a dumb question. And then they're embarrassed and they don't want to ask anymore. So then the communication just stops right there. And as my former teachers would say, there is no dumb question, and there really isn't. You just need to ask the questions, and don't be afraid to do that. And that's where I think the problem is, whether it's just a communication breakdown all the way around.
Very good, thank you. I just want to say I can assure Holly and all the rest of you in here that they do allow almost everyone to come to a school board meeting. Mr. Gramaskis can attest to the fact that I attended school board meetings long ago when he was on there. And they never once kept me. One time the door was locked and I had to knock on the window.
That was not,
And one thing about that is this, okay, and I don't know how they felt about that, but when you show up to meetings, when you show up tonight, when you show up to a city council meeting, when you show up to a school board meeting, I think they get the idea that somebody cares enough to show up, because you're taking your own time to come do this. And you guys have given up your evenings to come out and hear these fine candidates. And I think you should all give yourselves a round of applause for coming out and doing that tonight. Anyway, I think I'm going to open it up at this point for a few questions before they give their final closing arguments. So if you have Dick raised his hand first, Joanne.
Thank you all for doing this. Appreciate this very much, and very impressed with what I heard tonight. I guess I come from this from a different perspective than a lot of people have, but one of the worries, concerns that I have is enrollment. If I understand right, this might be the smallest kindergarten class that Tipton's ever had. I want to give you this a little longer before I let you respond. I have a son that moved to Adel, Iowa. And Adel is a very similar community to Tipton, but probably not as nice a community. I'll say people from there, but somebody might know from somebody from Adel, and I'll be in trouble. But, they worked with their city and offered an extremely generous property tax abatement. And they added 300 kids in 5 years. They could say, okay, they're close to West Des Moines. You drive it from Adel to West Des Moines, it's no different than the drive from Tipton to Iowa City. Okay, and it's so funny to look at my son's neighborhood, because there isn't a tree over 3 feet, because they're all new houses, they're all growth. So that comes back to my question, and possibly the reason I came tonight was from both the city and Holly's and Matt's comment about communication between city and school. I don't even know if it exists right now. So that needs something that needs to be addressed. But What are you looking at to help enrollment from your standpoint as a school board member?
I think it'll start with teacher recruitment. You know, if we can get the teachers in here, we can keep them here. That brings everything else with it. So that's going to bring the businesses. That's going to bring everything else. With business comes more people. You know, I think that's really where it starts at. We got to find out how to keep the teachers that we have, because we have good teachers. How to get back some teachers that maybe have left in previous years for whatever reasons. But I think it starts there.
I would have to agree with Matt. I have a teacher friend who left, and when I specifically asked her, why did you leave Tipton? Her response was, nobody talks to you from the admin. Nobody from senior admin talks to you. They could be in there and they'll walk right by you and not say good morning, not say hi, not do anything. And that was part of the reason that she left, and that she couldn't do it anymore because of the lack of discipline, and I shouldn't say lack of discipline, the fact that she felt that the kids were getting worse as they were, because they weren't allowed to, they had strict ways that they could discipline certain kids. And it is the smallest kindergarten class that they have, that we've ever had. And I think that we need to work on two things: the teacher retention, and I know everybody hates to talk about it, but we've got to improve our school to get the teachers to come back and to get them to stay. And I think that means that we need to look at what is needed versus what is wanted in a bond issue. Because as much as everybody wants nice and fancy new things, sometimes life just doesn't work that way, and you have to go with what's needed versus what you want. And when we can get the teachers to come here, because we can't do a brand new school. The funds aren't there. It's never going to be an option. We have to work with what we have. And it's just one of those things that we need to fix both of those. And then I think we can get the students to start coming back in, and the families that do open enroll, that stay in the community because they love the Tipton community in itself, but are just fed up with the school district. We could probably get them to come back, because nobody wants to drive to Wilton to take their kid to school. Nobody wants to drive to a different town. I mean, you just don't want to unless it's on your way. But I think those are the two things that we need to focus on, is getting the funds to keep our teachers and to work with the school that we have. And then we can hopefully bring in more students.
I'm gonna interrupt just long enough to invite those people in the hallway to come on up front. You know, this is like church. Everybody sits in the back, and the front pew is empty. So, come on in and sit up front. City council's coming up next, but you come on in and join the crowd. Don't be bashful.
I'm good.
One quick comment on that is that this is pretty fortunate that tonight the city council had scheduled a forum, and then I talked to Linda. I said, you know, it'd be nice to have a school board forum the same evening. Well, it's going to be great that we're going to have city council here, because what I'm hearing and what I heard Dick say, the city and the school are going to have to work together. Dick was talking about a property tax abatement for young families to move into town. And young families have kids. Old families like Sharon and I, we're not having any more kids. But there's, you know, and Tipton's got a lot of senior citizens living here that aren't having children anymore. So we've got to somehow figure out how to get young families to come to Tipton, and how to keep them here and get them into the school, because that's where the funds come from. The numbers of kids determine the amount of funds. Heidi, do you have a comment on that question?
Well, I'll try to real fast, like I definitely, the teacher recruitment retention will help with that to make our schools stronger. And obviously, a lot of our teachers are younger and they bring children and families with them, so that's big. I understand that the school is, or the city is working on housing. I do think that's a little bit of a deterrent. Some of our recent newer staff, that had came a year ago, were looking for housing and struggling. So I think that's, again, the collaboration between city and school is big. I mean, we want this community to thrive, and both of us need to be strong and working together to make that happen. I did have one more topic. We need to market ourselves. Oh my gosh, like we are in a perfect location. We have a strong school that's, got a few struggles right now, but we are very strong. So we got a strong school. We are located in a sweet spot. I mean, you can go 3 different directions and hit a metro area. If we don't have the amenities you want here, it's a place away from the city hubbub. If you would prefer a more calm day-to-day life and commute in and out of work, like we have so many things going for us. We've got to figure out how to market ourselves as well. So, and which falls into that strong communication. Like, where's our communication about how great we are? So, yeah.
Thank you.
Joanne had a question earlier. Would you like that to use
Yeah.
yours now, Joanne?
Yeah, as a middle school teacher for 100 years.
Longer than that.
Only seemed like that. No, I know there's been discussion about moving the 7th and 8th grade up to the other school, to the old school again. I just like to know if you have an opinion on that issue right now.
I do have an opinion on that. Coming from a student that went to school starting in 5th grade at the high school, we don't have the space. The space isn't there. As I've walked through for being, because I have kids that have rec and we've done pictures there. My daughter does dance there. It's not there. The space isn't there that we used to have. Classrooms have gotten combined, and it's just, I don't think that the 7th and 8th grade needs to be moved back up there, and I don't like that idea. Not because they don't necessarily belong with high schoolers, because there's a huge maturity difference between a 7th grader and a 18-year-old. But I never even was on the other side of the high school when I was there. But the space just isn't there, and it's not something that I would think that we needed to do.
Matt, got an opinion on
Yeah, I mean, once again, when I came into Tipton in 6th grade, that's where I started at, was in the high school building. And I think I spent a half a semester down at the middle school building, kind of in that odd year when they were finishing that up and everything. And then I was back to the high school. I personally don't think there's an issue with having the 7th and 8th grade up there. I think there is plenty of space up there. There's a lot of space that I don't think is being utilized right now that's maybe has become, a storage closet or whatever. There's room there. I think 7th and 8th grade could easily fit there. And it would take care of some of our classroom and space issues pretty easily in that regard. So.
Heidi?
I am definitely open to it, but the decision will need to be made with students at the forefront. So one of the reasons that I've heard that I can grab a hold of and support is there's a real push for more career-ready education. So again, education has changed, and unfortunately, I think Tipton's maybe a little behind on changing, with the rest of the world. We do have a few initiatives that are moving in the right direction. The ag program, we have a coordinated geometry with industrial tech class. Using education for real life experiences after they graduate. So if 7th and 8th graders were over at the high school building, they would have earlier exposure to possible career path type of education. And I think that's probably one of my passion points is that I want every student to walk out on graduation day with a plan and something that excites them that they're going to do with their life. And the sooner they're exposed to opportunities, I think the better. So I'm open to it. I'm not sure where I ultimately stand, but I'm open to that. Maybe that is an okay move.
Since those two commented on the space, do you have a?
Do I have a concern with space? For 7th and 8th grade, I do not. Again, for right now, as Mr. Gramaskis pointed out, we have a reduction in numbers right at the moment. So we don't have a space problem, I don't think.
Okay, Heidi made a good point in that education's changed a lot throughout the years. Right now, there's a lot more services being provided to students that we never used to have. A lot more counselors, a lot more help and emotional type people in the school, which is a good thing because I think we all know that right now there's a lot of mental health challenges for young people. And so that's something that anybody going on the school board is going to be faced with. But just to show you how much school education has changed, I started kindergarten in that building, and we had K through 12 all the while I was there. But things have changed dramatically since then. I wouldn't recommend going back. But anyway, I think I saw one more hand for a quick question, and then we're going to do the wrap.
I just had one quick question. You all seem to talk about communication between the city and the school board. Is there some way that you guys could meet together? And who would be open to that? And either just a meeting together or an open meeting together, or maybe both. And I don't know whether you guys would be the first ones to invite them or they should be the first ones to invite you. But I do think that something to bring people to Tipton housing is a big thing. It's been a big thing for a long time. I do know there are a few things going on there. You can't do a whole lot about it, but maybe as a school board, you could mention to them something like the tax abatement and tell them, eventually that would also help the city, which more people would help the city downtown too.
We tried, and we do need to circle back to it, to have a joint meeting or start to discuss what that might look like to do like semi-annual joint meetings. And not too long ago, I said to Abby whether she would go with me to one of the local communities that we know does do a joint meeting with the school board and the city council. So, and she agreed. We just need to make it happen so we can see what that might look like. We gave it a try, but we really didn't know how. So we need that how piece to make that happen. So I think we want to do it. We will.
Okay.
Whether I'm on the school board or not, I'll keep pushing for it.
I think we're going to wrap this up with a closing argument from each of these three candidates. And I've also got a final statement from each of the two who are not here, which I will read. And I'll keep it short. We started when the clock said 5 minutes till 6. We could stretch it up to the full 7 and tell everybody that we gained an extra 5 minutes. But here's Kirby's statement, which I think is a good closing statement. I hope that someday when this school board is long retired and a future board is setting the course for our district, that we can look back and see the good things we have accomplished. That we worked hard to provide a great education, a safe environment, the facilities necessary for future learners, and our district is thriving. This has been a guiding principle for me in the previous 8 years that I've served on the board, and I hope to have the privilege to continue this work. That's from Kirby Bierman. And Luann Helm, and I'll kind of wrap up what she said at the end, is short and sweet. She says, I may not have all the answers, but I believe with the help of everyone, we can accomplish what needs to be done. Please give me a chance to be a voice in the community. That's Luann Helms. helmet. So, let's start on, and I've been picking on Heidi all night, so we're gonna pick on Holly, let her give a closing argument.
I figured that was
2
coming.
minutes time.
So I will be the first to admit I don't have a whole lot of experience. I am a Girl Scout leader. I have worked in a local community business. I work at Liberty Trust and Savings Bank, and I've been there for 6 years now. Similar to Luann, I would like to just be the voice, not only for myself, but for my kids and for future generation. I would like to build this school and the community and help do those things that make my kids want to come back to Tipton like my husband and I did. My husband had no plans ever of leaving Tipton. He is a live and die Tiptonite. I had no plans of coming back to Tipton, 0 plans. And he talked me into it. In fact, I tried to talk him to move to Colorado, and he wouldn't do it. I still try on a daily basis. But I would like to build the school with just a reputation that this is where my kids graduated. I helped build this. I helped make this. I worked with the community. I worked with the teachers. I worked with the people, and make the best possibility for my kids to graduate from, for my kids to go out into the world ready to slay dragons and do whatever they want to do. And be prepared, whether it be to go just strictly career path, like my husband did, or go to college, whether it be a 4-year, 2-year, or a trade school. In our family, we don't care where you go or what you do, as long as you are a productive member of society. We don't care what you do. And I would like every child to have that opportunity. And I just feel like right now, we're not giving every child that opportunity. And I want to help do those things. I want to help bring those kids in 30 years back to our community so they can say, this is where I graduated, this is what we did, this is how it was, similar to my husband and I. And I would like to have that opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Holly. Matt?
Yeah, I think ultimately we need to become a destination again. Once we become that destination for teachers, students, employers alike, I think that fixes a lot of issues. You know, it starts there. I'm remembering back, just sitting here, and we used to have programs like internships. You know, I remember spending time at the Chamber of Commerce as an internship in junior and senior year. You know, I started delivering Meals on Wheels and still do today. I just did it yesterday. I've delivered Meals on Wheels for over 20 years now. Stuff like that is out of our school system now, you know, that service above self. And I think that really needs to be implemented back in. I know we have some silver cord hours and stuff like that, but really getting out there and being involved in the community as a school district, I think that helps with the whole communication between school and city as well. So.
Very good, thank you, Matt. Heidi, the jury's listening. Make your closing argument.
Okay, so I'm gonna probably this time do a better job of reading what I prepared, so sorry, I won't make as much eye contact, but the reason I think I would appreciate your vote is that I am an advocate for students and the opportunities that Tipton Community School District is providing them. I also know more than I did 4 years ago, and I feel personally more confident in how to go about supporting change that leads to school improvement. I'm a strong believer in student success being tied to involvement outside of the classroom. We haven't really talked a lot about this, but a little bit. I think it's important to maintain our programming to provide each student the opportunities to experience fine arts, athletics, and small groups related to education and community service. We can't provide everything, but we can provide a lot and have been, and I want to continue to support those programs. I have no personal motives other than I do have a small caveat. When I chose to run 4 years ago, it all was triggered by the fact we were looking at the need to redo the track. And it somehow blown into like a huge stadium AstroTurf project. That's how this all started for me. The track's not done yet. So that is a little bit of a thing that I will push for to make sure we keep on task to get the track taken care of. I want nothing more than to feel confident our students are walking out of Tipton High School on graduation day with a plan and the tools to succeed. They need to walk out with confidence, with a little bit of humility. They need to be humble too. I want them to walk out with a good support system, that they have healthy relationships with their peers, and that comes from having extracurriculars and clubs and things that they're excited about being involved in, that they meet their people and connect with people in person and not through their phone or devices. And again, that they're encouraged by a community like this that cares about a strong school and them, that they have support from teachers and coaches and this community. So that's.
Good, thank you, Heidi. Well, Tipton has a lot of good possibilities. We've had a strong school system, and I think with good candidates like this, the opportunity for you to vote for these good candidates, I think we can continue to build and strengthen Tipton and the Tipton School District. So how about, at this time, a big hand for our candidates. Thank you all for coming, and hope you stay for the city council portion.
We're gonna make a quick switch here. Right here. I'm an experienced public speaker with no voice. Is there really going to want all of you like just staring me down right here? Oh, we're going to be giving it How do I know what I'm getting? I live a block away from Tipton. I'm in that ward. Okay. Yeah, right. I just posed it, but he didn't even hear me. We're like, boo. Well, first of all, I would like to introduce our moderator to everyone this evening. So Penny Webb, I'm sure everybody knows Penny. And we all love Penny. She is the vice president of the chamber. And so she is going to be leading discussion tonight. And Penny, I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
All right, perfect. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I want to, this is the candidate forum, and I will be asking a few questions. This forum will last an hour, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question. And Abby's going to keep time for us. I'll try not to cut you off if I can help it. I'm going to have, we had a candidate, a mayor candidate, who was not unable to come, so I'm going to have Linda read her statement from Tammy.
So Tammy is out of town tonight, so she wrote this statement, and I have the pleasure of reading it to you tonight. So it says, "Good evening, and my apologies for not physically being present tonight at this meeting. My name is Tammy Gert, that's not me, and I'm the mayoral candidate. I serve at the pleasure of the governor and the labor commissioner on the task force, and unfortunately, our quarterly meeting and work session happens to be tonight and tomorrow. I have worked at the University of Iowa since 2000, and my current role is the Director of Education and Outreach for Heartland Center of Occupational Health and Safety. The center housed at the College of Public Health is $6.2 million federally funded educational and research center. In this position, as part of our outreach core consultation, I work with both public and private sector organizations on improving compliance, addressing liabilities, reviewing and updating administrative and recruitment policies. More specific to municipalities, I am experienced with zoning, nuisance, and property maintenance ordinances, including enforcement. I am a long life resident of Tipton, and I am invested in our community. I am confident with my experience and leadership abilities that as your mayor, I can lead the city administration to get the best results for the city of Tipton, residents, business, and property owners. I have a long list of goals, but to scale them down into categories, my priorities are the following." And then she also has flyers at the table if anyone wants to take a flyer home. "The evaluations of city department recruitment and administrative policies, budget and project processes, opportunities to increase city revenue, updating city ordinances, utilities and infrastructure, changes that need to be made, property maintenance, zoning, and nuisance ordinance enforcement evenly, competent staffing based on job description and essential functions, training for volunteer commissions. What's next? Long-term economic, commercial, and residential development goals, and what are the annual goals that need to be met for long-term EMS moving forward. I will work hard to make the necessary changes that benefits our residents and better our community. Changes are necessary and change starts with leadership. Change always takes time and is never immediate, but I am confident there are opportunities to grow better for our community residentially, commercially, and economically. I'm investing in you, your family, and our community. I appreciate your time and consideration."
Thank you, Linda. All right. I think the first question, I'd like each candidate to introduce themselves and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and why you're running for city office. Again, everyone gets 2 minutes. I'm just going to start down here with you.
I'm Luke Johnston. I am running for Ward 3. I have been a member of the Tipton Community School District for the last 8 years. Have been a property owner in Tipton for the last 7. I'm running because when I came to Tipton, came from a much larger city, Ankeny. Wasn't sure about Tipton when I got here, but was immediately welcomed in. Just really enjoyed the community, enjoyed how much support I got from people here. And really just running as a way to give back, is my way of saying thank you to the community that accepted me, and doing what I can to hopefully help that community.
All right, I'm Jason Boshin, 42 years old. I've lived here my whole life except for the 2 years I went to college. I graduated with a degree in construction management and business management. I'm running for Tipton City Council at large, actually running for re-election. Basically why I want to continue to serve, I think we've made great progress in our streets. repairing those, fixing infrastructure. We've done a great job at getting that initiated, getting on the right track. We started getting new businesses downtown, revitalizing the downtown. We started helping fix residential houses in need. So we've started to revitalize the town so we can build economically. I think that's very important. I work for my family, which most of you probably heard of Poshing Construction. I've worked for them basically my whole life. I started when I was 14. I know how important it is for a small business to strive in the community and how to give back. And that's what I want to run for again, is to give back to the community that's gave so much to our family, given so much to me, brought me up the way I am. And it's humbling to be elected for that. And I truly enjoy that. I truly enjoy working with the public and hearing their input and trying to make this town a better place. And that's why I'm running.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, folks, I know most of you out here, so those that don't, 56. I've lived in Tipton pretty much my whole life. I work for Cedar County Secondary Roads. I've been there 17 years. I run a tree business here in Tipton. I've been doing that for about 33 years. I just got on with the Reserve Sheriff's Department, so I have a storage building in Tipton, so I got a lot invested in Tipton. It's been a great community to me. The reason why I'm running, just want to make a difference. I'm not a real good talker, so I'm just a new guy trying to make a difference. That's it.
Speaker mode. Sorry. My name is Deb Vandergast. I'm using this because I have laryngitis and you won't be able to hear me without it. I'm a registered nurse. I, for 17 years, had Tipton Adaptive Daycare both in my home and in the center here in town. And I am currently a child care nurse consultant for Johnson County Public Health. My husband works out at the Arsenal as a software engineer. And we brought our family here to raise our 8 children 19 years ago because of the fantastic schools and the fantastic community. And a place where teenagers had safe and fun things to do. Schools that I considered rural magnet fine arts school. The programs are amazing. I've had a child of mine go through special education and she's now in college, and another child getting ready to graduate, and the opportunities are limitless. And 3 of my grandchildren go to school here too. I'm very invested in this community. I'm the current chairperson of the Zoning Board of Adjustments. I've served on multiple short-term school and community committees, everything from RAGBRAI Health Committee to interviewing principals for the middle school and just helping with the school planning to develop their vision for the future. Very much I ran for Senate last year, Iowa Senate, and in that process really got to talk to different superintendents in the county and really learned more of the underlying problems, and Mr. Kramaskas nailed it. We have a housing problem in Tipton. All you have to do is go on social media and see people desperately looking. Every superintendent said they're losing money because they're losing kids. Families can't afford to have children anymore, so birth rates are going down. They're moving to the cities because they can't find a place here. And businesses are closing because of that, because we can't get entry-level workers because they're not going to commute to the city to work in Tipton. If they can't live here, they're not going to work here, they're not going to bring their kids to school here. It's a downward spiral that we have to address.
Thank you, Deb.
My name is Brian Carney and I'm running for re-election of mayor. I just started my 10th year as the Tipton Middle School counselor. The reason why I'm running is because I feel like we've made some really great strides in the last 8 years, but there is still a lot to do. Kind of like what Jason said, we've laid the groundwork for our infrastructure work, and we've been able to expand on that into different parts of the city. We're helping some businesses get off the ground and become more of kind of a destination downtown for families to come eat dinner, and stroll and walk through our stores. The other great passion I have is that Hardacre Theater that unfortunately has been sitting vacant for too long. I'm on the board for that. We're able to get some apartments going in there, and hopefully you guys will start to see some sustainable action on that front. And then with that, it'll be able to bring another piece of our downtown that people can come and enjoy. The other, you've heard this theme too, is the housing. We are fortunately landlocked by a lot of really valuable farm ground, and farmers love to farm it, and I don't blame them. They're making plenty of money, so we need to come up with more creative ways to help develop what we have inside of our city limits as well. It has been an honor and an unbelievably big honor to serve this town for 8 years. It has been some really trying times, but also there's been a lot of successes, and I hope to be able to continue for the next 4 years. And I'm sorry, I forgot to thank the chamber for putting this on, and also the boosters for inviting all of the candidates for our earlier forum. So there you go.
My name's George Welker. I'm 63. I moved here at the end of 20. My sweetheart and I have a small bar here in town. Lived most of my life in Florida, which everybody says, why do you move to Iowa? Well, if you ever lived in Florida, you'd know why. It's always hot. I'm running for Ward 1 City Council because I want to get involved. I figured that was a very good first step to try and do something for this community, which I have grown to love. I don't know a lot of people here, but I see a lot of normal faces that I recognize from my travels and from people coming into the bar. And I've done a lot of things in my life. I've owned my own business for most of my life in one form or fashion. I ran a real estate office of my own in Fort Myers Beach, Florida, before I came here. And so I've got a lot of experience with dollars and cents. I have a degree in finance from the University of Miami. And there's a lot of things that I think we can do positively here in town. That's it.
Thank you, George. Ron?
I'm Ron Hembry. Came here in '99 as a transplant out of Southwest Iowa. 5 days later, I was in the military, spent 3 years in Spain, which was a learning experience. Spent 4 years at Whiteman for the B-2 bed downs for the B-2 Spirit. In that process, Whiteman went through a major upheaval through civil engineering. And as a civil engineer with the squadron, I was responsible for a $6.8 million upgrade for the wastewater facility to enhance tertiary treatment. The processes during that time was well enough that I performed, and they had me do some of the integrations for the computer control that automated the water treatment facility also at the same time. After being in the service for 7 years, I saw that I was going to go to Korea without the family. I'm very family oriented. My core is family and the heart of them. So I elected to go on terminal leave right after Desert Shield and Storm. Took 2 months of vacation and my number pulled. Fortunately, I was already separated from the service, didn't have to go back. Worked for a small community of 5,000 outside of Kansas City. Reduced their overall debt load from 800,000 to a little less than 400,000 in 4 years. I had a disagreement with employer like regulations and rules, which I'm very staunch on. So I went to work in the manufacturing of munitions outside of Kansas City, Lake City. There we got into hazardous waste, pyrotechnics, industrial waste. I was asked to come, if I still wanted to go back to Iowa in '99. So I landed in Tipton in '99. In '11, I took a... Really?
All right, the second question, and I'll read it once, and if you'd like me to read it again before it's your time, I can do that. I do have an order that I'm gonna go in. The second question, What previous experience do you have that makes you the best qualified candidate for the job? And what local organizations, committees are you a member of? And again, you have 2 minutes, so we'll start with Brian.
Sorry, could you do it again?
What previous experience do you have that makes you the best qualified candidate for the job? And what local organizations, committees are you a member of?
What makes me the best qualified? Well, I do have 8 years under my belt, and I feel like under my guidance, the council and the rest of the city has been able to work for the town and make it better for the town. And we've been able to create an environment with the city and all of their departments to help improve the town. As far as committees, I'm on the Hardacre board, but then some of this is just being mayor. Hardacre board, the EMA board, the financial committee along with the city. I just recently joined our union representation at school, so that'll be a whole nother organization and rules and regulations that I'm trying to dip my toe in as well. But I just really want to make sure that the city in general is here to serve the people that elect it. I want to make sure that the roads are clean, they're well maintained, that when you turn the faucet on, there's always water. When you turn the light on, that light always turns on. I just feel that the experience that I've had so far really helps me focus that to make sure that we are working for all of you guys in here.
Thank you, Brian. All right, George, you are up next. And again, I can read the question again if you'd like.
That's okay. I think if I forget it, you can whack me. I'm a member of the Lions. I joined there sometime last year. I don't recall when. And why am I the best for the job? I don't know. Maybe because I've had 8 or 9 different businesses that some I made a lot of money and some I lost my butt. And there's nothing worse than waking up on a Friday morning and not having any money for payroll. You got to figure that out. And I don't think a city's a whole lot different than running your own business. It's just a business. It's all dollars and cents, and we got to get things done with these dollars and cents. I think I've got a good brain on my head, and hopefully I'll be able to show that. Did I forget anything?
Did you want to add what you were, any organizations or committees that you were part of?
Lions, part of the Lions. I was a full-time realtor in Florida, but I let that go, and other than that, that's all I got.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ron?
What I feel is probably the best push for me in the position is I care for the community. I don't know if it's because I forced all 5 kids to graduate here, even though I was working with the EPA in another community under a compliance order. But my background in civil engineering with the Air Force gave me a foundation that I think is irreplaceable. I don't know if it's just the military or if it's being part of civil engineering itself. I had a unique perspective when I came to town in '99. I worked for an O&M firm because the city could not hire a water and wastewater operator to do both operations. I came out of the state of Missouri, maxed out with the certifications, and working here in the community until 11 gave me a unique insight as to how the Encode works, which is the billing software for the community. Understanding that and having a comprehension in how that works and always has to make budget by your employer makes you a little bit what I call intuitive as to when and why you spend your monies and how you spend them. Our streets are comparable to what they've been when I showed up in '99. Case in point, Inland Road. Cruise Additions roads are coming into play. They're starting to separate. We're going to have to look at how we're going to finance that. We did a good job on South Street. 38's coming through, a necessary evil. You have to have decent infrastructure coming into the community. Plus, I had the benefit of working with Travis Alden when he was doing the economic development. As far as being on a board, I show up at the school at 8 o'clock and some days I may walk out at 6:30. Last Thursday, I walked out at 9:30. We were redoing the automation for the ag shop and the metal shop.
Thank you. Luke, will you repeat the question?
No, I'm good. First off, I don't know if I'm the best qualified, but get my shot at it here. Out of the last 8 years that I've been here in Tipton, 7 of those I have served as an officer in the teachers union. 6 of those I have been the president of the group. And in that time, the school runs a lot like a smaller version of the city, with the board and how they report to superintendent, how that kind of works. And I've learned a lot. Spent a lot of time working in negotiations, working in mediations, working with employees, making sure that employees get fair rights, good says, looking at the budget, that kind of stuff, which I think is really helpful as we look at the city. I really care about the city employees. I care about our businesses, making sure that they get their fair share, their fair say. So a lot of my experience comes from there. As far as organizations, I currently serve as a board member on the Cedar County Stoplight Players, our local feeder board. And until recently, I've done some work with the Methodist Church.
Thank you. Jason?
Can you just revitalize everything?
Sure. What previous experience do you have that makes you the best qualified candidate for the job? And what local organizations, committees are you a member of?
Again, I'm going to agree with Luke. I may not be the best, but all my teachers throughout everything have always told me, if you fail, you never quit trying till you get the right answer. That's simply what I do. My leadership skills, I joined the fire department 14 years ago. Shortly after I was on, I was nominated to be a trustee, which is an officer position. I held that for quite some time. And the last 6 years that I've been on the fire department, I've been a captain, which we're in charge of all in the field. We're on a fire scene. We're in charge of things at the station. Just basically, if our chief isn't there, you're next in line to do it. You control everything. I believe the reason I've been put in that is because people know I'm going to take the best educated guess I have, and we're going to go with that. The information I got, that's what we're going to do. I was also on the ambulance for, I can't remember how long. I haven't been active the last 4 years because between fire, city council, my wife thinks I spend a lot of time away from home, especially with my job. So I kind of have taken away from that. When we have important calls, I do go on them. I was elected 4 years ago to be the representative for city council at large. I love every minute of it. I love talking to people. We might not always get along on this. I mean, we've had our shares of disagreements, but that's part of it. And that's what I look forward to is you tell me why you don't agree with me and we'll work through it. We got to do this for the community, not for us. That's what I want to do this for. Again, this community has given so much to me. That's why I want to give back. Again, did I miss anything?
I think you covered it all.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Deb, we're gonna move over to you.
All right.
Speaker mode.
Time for that. As I said before, I am the current chair of the Tipton Zoning Board of Adjustments. I'm also a member of the Lions. I volunteer and perform in the Cedar Stoplight Players. I used to be a EMT, volunteer EMT for the Olin Ambulance, and I like the proposal to have a home visiting option with the new proposed ambulance bill, and would like to volunteer for that because my current position doesn't really allow me the time to volunteer on call. Of course, I've also served in different school and community groups over the years. I created the Cedar County Child Care Association, and back about 30 years ago, I also created a child care association down in Lee County. And of course, I've created multiple social media groups that is always, if you ever want to learn the fun of being in public life, start a large social media group. But My experience includes that I've been a childcare advocate for many years. I've even spoken at the US Capitol on the childcare crisis and childcare worker shortages. I've proposed multiple bills to have been written into law in Iowa, one to deal with the theft of catalytic converters, and oh goodness, now it's escaping me, the other one that was written into law, but I also had some others that were made it to committee, were proposed. So I've got a lot of experience in legislation, policy, and lawmaking, and just with the Board of Adjustments, really have to have that knowledge of zoning and fair enforcement of the law. And so I do have a lot of experience coming into this and a lot invested in this community. And so I do feel I'm very qualified for this position and do have the needs of the community at heart.
Thank you. Michael?
I'm gonna have you read that one more time.
I sure can. What previous experience do you have that makes you the best qualified candidate for the job? And what local organizations, committees are you a member of?
Well, I don't have a lot of previous experience with the council or anything like that. Like I said, I've run my trade business for 33 years by myself. So organizing my time, I work with people every day, all day. I'm the weed commissioner for Cedar County, so I've dealt with every form of people you can think of, mad, sad, people throwing rocks at you. So I think I'm really good at dealing with people. I also help with Little Tiger Wrestling, so if you can handle 23 kids at a time, I think that's definitely a plus. I really haven't served on any boards. I don't have a lot of time, and I had people ask me, why am I doing this? Well, I know a lot of people in this community, and you hear a lot of, well, why isn't the city doing this? Why isn't the city doing this? Well, this is my way of making a difference, even if it's a little bit at a time, and willing to learn, and hope y'all give me a chance.
Great, thank you. All right, question number 3 is a 2-part question. What do you think is going well for the city of Tipton, and what improvements would you like to see? Again, you have 2 minutes, and we're going to start with Ron. And I can repeat the question.
Has it already started?
I wait until I'm sure you're talking.
Actually, the positive sides are a lot of the major infrastructure as we come up through 38 and Cedar Valley Road as we come in. You know, that is 2 major infrastructure rehabs. Now, keep in mind, it's financed. Anybody that's financed a house or a vehicle knows what, you know, and how that works out for you. The other side of it is, you know, we have seriously got to monitor how much of our utility costs are being used to subsidize other activities and functions. You know, if you're not happy with your utility rates, you need to compare them with other communities. You need to evaluate how much you've spent and then compare that back to how we're applying it here locally and how much of it is being transferred from one to the other. I learned a long time ago, it all goes into a big funnel and then trickles out. I also learned a long time ago, if you don't spend it all, they'll take it away from you. Most of the time, government usually gets bigger than it does get smaller. There's a frugal way of being conservative, but still accomplishing it for the people. You know, the side streets are tough. Some of the streets have had to be redone. If you read the manual and the requirements of the specifications, you'll hit it on the mark. One of the big things to do is make sure that the specifications for our projects are being met. And that's the biggest hope or task at hand, is to make sure that if an engineer or contractor is performing a function for our community, we get the level of service and the truth out of that. And that's the biggest thing. We have done well on our infrastructures. Some things are weak, but we can always improve on it. And you just got to be, I call, firm and slowly work through each step at a time, 1 foot in front of the other. That's the biggest thing.
Thank you, Ron. George,
What's my name?
would you like me to answer?
No, I'm teasing. What do I think the best thing about the town is and what things are going well? Well, I think Ron hit it on the head. The infrastructure is looking extremely good in certain parts of the town, for sure. I know one thing I wanted to mention was that the program where they help and you can get a grant as a homeowner, that's helped a lot of families revitalize their home and redo their home. We actually took advantage of it ourselves. And that's a really wonderful program if you've got, problems from the derecho or problems from your roof's leaking or whatever it is. It's a very wonderful program. Now, where can we go? I think financially speaking, my personal hot buttons are always, why are we spending money on this and not spending money on that? Obviously, I don't know what the budget says. I don't know where the money's going or why it's going there, but that's something I'd like to dig my teeth into and see if I can figure out what we're doing and why we're doing it, and see if I can help figure that out.
Great. We're going to move down to this end of the table and leave.
Well, to start with, I think both Ron, George, they're hitting a lot of things on the head. I think a lot of us are going to be talking about that we kind of agree with. And the city council has done a lot of good things. I think that's important to give credit where it is. That it's a hard job. I think the council does the best they can with the information they have, working on infrastructure, working on revitalizing downtown, trying to bring some amenities back. And, I applaud the current council for doing that. What I look at for personally, and for those of you who were here for the last session, you would kind of understand, being a teacher, we're seeing a decline in our town. Less and less families living here, and that's something that concerns me. It's such a great place to live, and it bothers me that people are deciding to go elsewhere. So one of my big takeaways personally is, how do we bring families to Tipton? How do we show them this is the place to set down and settle? Thank you.
Great, thank you, Luke. Deb?
Speaker mode.
Okay, as I said before, I think that this town is a great place to raise a family with lots of healthy, safe activities for youth and young families, and we need to keep building on that. I think it's wonderful that we're putting in a recreation trail. We do have too many busy tertiary streets that have no sidewalks or intermittent sidewalks, so that we don't have safe, walkable neighborhoods. We could do better on that. That would attract families. I'm glad that we're investing in fixing the problems with our pool. We did already address with suing the contractor that made mistakes that are still costing us money. But I think the pool is an asset that brings people here, and all you have to do is be here on a summer day and see how many people come from other communities to use our pool. That is an attraction. We need to get the Hardaker Theater going again too. But the big thing I think we need to address is housing, so that people don't just visit here, they live here and they work here and they put their kids' school here and they shop here. One of the things that is the lack of affordable rental housing. If you look at our zoning, our multifamily zoning is landlocked around the downtown area. There's not really many open lots there. There's really no opportunities. I think we've taken a step in the right direction to do a zoning change and other ways of addressing the new multifamily housing going in on the west end of town, and I think we can do more. It's not just enough to be building $300,000 homes. Yes, that does mean somebody moves up and makes a less expensive home available, but not everybody can, especially young families with young children that we need in our schools, can't afford to buy a house right now. And if they can't afford childcare or find childcare, they're not going to be here. And so we've got to support the infrastructure that supports the families so they can afford to have a family, that they're not choosing to forego having children because they're going to be homeless if they do.
Thank you, Deb. Michael?
So kind of what Deb touched on and what everybody has, I think the city is doing the right things. They're moving the right direction. I can't sit here and say, well, why aren't the streets fixed? What's the budget? I have no idea. I'm learning as I go. Things I'd like to see happen, the downtown area. I'd like to see it more inviting. You go to Mount Vernon, some of these other little towns that aren't much bigger than ours. Your downtown area, to me, is kind of the hub of your town. If you have something inviting, granted, yes, the school system, there's a lot of things we can work on. Growing up in Tipton, the little things that I miss, that I noticed have gone away, ridiculous days. Everybody went to ridiculous days. They closed down the street. It was a huge deal, kind of a family tradition. That's kind of gone away. 4th of July. 4th of July is a huge deal. That's kind of gone away. I mean, as a kid, you went to the parade, you went to the park, you spent the day at the park. They had activities there. Nowadays, 4th of July, and it's supposed to be Independence Day, people leave. People leave Tipton. They go on vacation. They don't stay here because we don't have a lot to offer, and we need to have something to offer for the kids, for the adults, and I don't know, make everybody want to stay here and enjoy it. That's all I have.
Jason.
So, beat the board like everybody else, but infrastructure. On the streets committee, I think we've done a great job. We've started getting the process flowing with redoing some streets. We were supposed to do North Plum this year, but meeting with the homeowners and the property owners, we learned it wasn't going to fit their needs, that street that we had proposed. So we listened to them and we talked through the needs they wanted. And we decided, you know what, this year is just not fiscally responsible to go about doing this. Let's wait till next year. Downtown, Linda does a great job with TIF and DRIP grants. And every time we get one of those applications in, I've never seen anybody say no to them. Everybody wants this downtown to succeed. Everybody wants a downtown. We need it. Like Mike said, I remember those days. Those were a blast. I mean, they were a lot of fun. Same as the park. Just getting more activities for everybody to do. I think it's a great thing. I stayed in Tipton because I love the small town feel. You know everybody walking down the street. I don't think I've ever met a stranger here. I'll always talk to you. You can yell at me. I've had that happen multiple times. But let's talk through it and figure out what we can do better, and we can go from there. One thing I think we can improve on is communication like this. I think this is a great thing. This is tremendous. I was actually a little awestruck when I walked in. I didn't think there'd be this many people here. But there again, I love listening to people. When Mulberry Street was getting redone, I had a lot of people, of course, I live on Mulberry Street, coming and complaining. And yes, I understood their frustrations. It was bad. We worked through it. Same as issues downtown, same as issues everywhere else. Come to me with your problems and let's work through them. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be your voice. That's what I want to do.
Thank you, Jason. Brian.
One great thing that we got is kind of what everybody else said, but I'd like to call it momentum. We've been able to pick up some momentum with our community and everything that is going on with it, from the infrastructure to the grant programs to the revolving loan fund for homeowners. All of those things are helping build momentum and create an environment that will hopefully attract more restaurants downtown and then put more people into houses that, other people vacated because they moved on. But the momentum that I can feel building, I think, is a great thing. And to work on, Jason kind of said it as well. The communication. To be honest, we have department heads at our city council meetings. Now, I know we record them and put them online, and I actually look. There's a lot of views a lot of times on those videos, so I know that information is getting out there. But we still need to work harder and use different avenues to get our information out. Because there are some events in town that happen, and I'll talk to people afterwards, and they didn't know what's happening. And I personally don't know quite yet how to reach everyone, but we need to keep striving to make sure that we get all of that information out. There you go.
Great, thank you. All right, question number 4. What would you do to attract young families to our community, and how do you address the Affordable Housing Act, or excuse me, affordable housing? Again, everyone has 2 minutes to answer the question, and I can always re-ask it if needed. We're gonna start with Luke.
Easy one, right? Well, I think starting with the attracting families. And I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to the affordable housing problem. I'm not in that realm. That's not an expertise I have, something I'm more than happy to learn more about, but that's not really where my mind goes. But what I do know is what can we build on that we already have? We have a downtown that is revitalizing. We have businesses coming in. Businesses attract people, as we know. We have amenities. We have the pool, which when it gets redone will be awesome again. People come from all over for that. The bowling alley's back up in full swing. We're working on the movie theater. We have things for families. We have things for people to do. There's a real drive to continue to build that. So that's one of the big things for me on that side. Plus, working with the school, supporting the school supporting the council, more interaction there, more work on that side, I think will really help bring people back to Tipton.
Great. Michael.
I'm pretty much the same as him. I have no expertise on this. I actually came to the school board meeting, and that's the first meeting that I've ever attended. So, and that was kind of interesting, and I think they all touch base on it. I think if the city and the school board can kind of work together, I mean, that's best of both worlds. And I don't, like I said, I just don't have a whole lot of answers for that.
All right, thank you. Jason.
Our attractions, of course, is our pool. Again, that's number one. I have a lot of friends that grew up here, live out of town for various reasons. They all come use the pool. They love it. So we get that back up and running. I think that's going to be huge. Another one, and we're working on that. We're getting it there. Another one is obviously here. The library. We redid the facade last year. We just finished it up this year. It's a great attribute. Our downtown, the Hardacre, there's a lot of attractions. Some of the people that I've worked with in my field, building homes for newer people my age, I ask them, why do you come to town? The small town feel. Your downtown has this. The little shops, the little coffee shops. You have Walmart. You have a great grocery store. We have great attributes. We just need to better use those tools and attract more people. What was the second part of the question?
And how do you address affordable housing?
That's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess. We have started with a multifamily dwelling on the west side of town. We tried working with a landlord here in town. Things haven't gone the right way. We are looking out for people that rent. I think Tatum's Tunch is a great thing for this community. They help set up families that need low-income housing, shouldn't even say low income, just need assistance. They help find places like that in Tipton. And we have some. We don't have enough, but we do have them. And that's a great attribute that we have. It's another tool we need to utilize. Again, I'm not an expert in the housing. I'm not an expert in that. I'm not a landlord. I never have been. I can't tell you what it's like to go through that. I know plenty of people that are, and some are very successful at it.
Thank you, Jason. Deb.
Speaker mode.
I'm going to open by saying, yes, I do have some expertise in this area. I think that how we address the housing is, one, through tax incentives for bringing people into the community, but also to ensure that we have affordable housing. We can look at tax incentives for landlords that have rents that meet the federal affordability standards and pass an annual health and safety inspection, because we don't want it to be low-income slum housing. We want it livable, safe housing for young families so that they can have a family here. and work here and keep our businesses open. My business closed because of the worker shortage. So again, those are ways that we can directly do it. If we're concerned about the cost, one thing we need to look at, the city just got a report a few weeks ago, we are in very good financial standing. Our property tax rates are actually lower than neighboring school districts. So we can afford to invest. And when you invest, there's return on investment down the road. Whereas if we just pull back and we don't invest in our community and its growth, we're going to shrink and die. We lose our school, we lose our town. Do we wait until we're that desperate? Or do we start investing in the future, paying a little now that'll come back to us tenfold later? There are federal programs that can help us too. Like when we talk about affordable childcare, there is a huge federal employer-provided childcare tax credit that we could be helping our businesses learn about, and other programs to help with housing and business development. So one of the things we can be doing for our businesses in our local community is ensuring that they're aware of resources that are available to us and able to take advantage of it. So I think that's how we address our housing problem and address our school, is that we start planning for the future and stop hemorrhaging families and the community dying slowly. We build for the future. We invest in our future. We don't wait until the roof has rotted away before we replace the roof.
Brian,
What was it again?
what would you do to attract young families to our community, and how do you address affordable housing?
I'm a past Tipton graduate. The school is the biggest selling point of any small town. We do have a working relationship with the school. By we, I mean the city. We helped out with some of the stadium project that just went on. Just like any relationship, there are hiccups, and we try to work through them and strengthen our relationship. As far as the affordable housing, we unfortunately hit a pandemic and everything raised in cost, rents and houses and interest rates. And I honestly have no good idea on how to do it, because as a council, we can't make people set prices for their houses or their rents. As Deb said, there are incentives out there to help with some of that. But some programs that we put in place have been the property tax abatement on improvements to the property. So if you buy a lot, you only pay property taxes on that lot for 7 years, and then the improvements kick in. But I think a better working relationship with the school will bring those younger families to our town, and along with the amenities that other folks have said, the trail system, our pool getting back online, which supports our wonderful swim program, which oddly enough we are really good at in a small town. We routinely beat larger schools, but sorry, just bragging about them for a second. Getting the Hardacre back, we do have some successful, great restaurants downtown, with hopefully adding a couple more soon. Those incentives to help those developers bring those amenities to town will bring those tax dollars into town from people that not necessarily live here, but we still get to capture that tax money. There you go.
Great, thank you. George?
I'll give a story. We sold our house. We lived right down the road here when we first moved here. We had 3 dogs and couldn't certainly live in the loft like that. But anyway, we ended up selling to them. They were from Iowa City. And I had a long conversation with her the other day, because I said, why did you move to Tipton? Why here? I mean, you know, you lived in the Mecca of Eastern Iowa. At least that's what they think. And she said, you know what? We love this town, and we are going to be here probably until we die. And the reasons are, this community is very loving and very open and very kind. They love the fact that we are working on bringing our downtown back into its former glory days. And she said, we literally daily walk downtown. We walk down to FitHub and go get whatever they do. We go to go to Metiera on a regular basis. And I walked here tonight. It's not very far. So, I mean, if we want to talk about what brings people to our town, what has been accomplished and is in the process of being accomplished more so, is probably what's going to be a big help.
Ron?
Repeat the question again.
Okay. What would you do to attract young families to our community, and how do you address affordable housing?
To bring young individuals to the community, you have to maintain shopping and resources that the younger individuals like. Case in point, the water feature they wanted to put in downtown. I said one thing to a cute idea. I've never yet seen a kid not want to play in the water when we were working at the school. I found that extremely motivational, and it's been on the back burner. The aquatic center is a necessary piece of ice cream. It's like having Dairy Queen. I love Dairy Queen, but it's not really cost effective for me. The aquatic center is needed. We need to keep and maintain it in an effective manner. The Hardacre needs to come back. How many times on a Friday or Saturday night did you want to just go see a small matinee? Right now, you have to go to the Palms or Iowa City. You're going to drop $35, $40. When I first came here, I rented a house sight unseen, flat out. She goes, "You don't want to look at the house?" And I go, "No. I already know where it's at. I have a sense for what it is." I started out with not having affordable housing, and I brought 5 children to this community. Dick Ramaskas goes, "You're great for the school district." And I was like, okay. And it worked out well. We need the Hardacre back. We need to support the Rhino because it is a Mason building. I support the library. Why? It is one of the oldest libraries in the area. How do you get the young kids to have affordable housing? You need to look at the employers and see whether or not we can make it cost effective for where they work to live here. You can get more real estate here in Cedar County or Tipton proper than you will ever get in Tipton for the same dollar spent.
Thank you, Ron. All right, we're going to be moving into our final round, I guess you could say, our closing statement.
Double jump.
So, well, again, you'll each have 2 minutes for your closing statement, and we are going to start with Jason.
First? Gee, thank you.
Yeah.
Closing statement. Thank you all for coming. I, again, greatly enjoy this. I wish we could do a Q&A a little bit. I think there's so many things that we've done in the last 4 years on the council. I can't just draw one or the other out. We've had our ups, we've had our downs. I love every minute of it. I've left meetings being mad at several people, and I've called them after that, and we talked it out. And we were able to come to what was best for the city. And that's all I want to do. I love this town. It supported my family. I just want to give back what I've gotten from this town. And I think I've done a good job at that the last 4 years, and I want to continue to do it. So thank you for listening to me.
Jason. Deb.
Speaker mode.
Wish I could bypass that. I think that what we need in this town is not just ideas, but a plan. And I'm a person who has experience and the knowledge to make changes that will build our future. And so we need to invest and move forward and not just go about maintaining small town. And we've got a great thing here. We need to make sure everyone in Eastern Iowa knows we've got it so that they want to come here and experience it too. We need to know our strengths, share those strengths, build upon those strengths, but also know our weaknesses so that we can improve on those too. And we know our number one weakness right now is that we're losing families and population. And that's the number one thing we need to address. Thank you.
Michael, a closing statement.
Well, like Jason said, I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm the new guy. I don't have a whole lot of answers I can just tell you that I'm here for the community. The community has helped me and my family. It made my business what it is today. This community did. I want to repay the community, give something back. Like I said, I'm the new guy. I'm willing to try. And if you give me a chance, I'll do what I can for you.
Thank you. Ryan?
Through the past 8 years, I think we've been able to build on some momentum, and I hope, if allowed to, I can keep that going to make sure that the city council and all the departments under it are working to make everybody's life here better, improve the quality of life here, and just hopefully everybody here have a level of enjoyment that that they can brag to their friends and bring them to Tipton, whether it's to live or to shop. We just want people in our town, and I would like to, if elected, like to keep heading up the council and continue with that momentum to improve the quality of our life.
Ron, a closing statement.
How many of you felt the experience when you come back to Tipton, you were home? I took a break for 8 months. When I crossed Iowa City, I go, why? I'm home again. I know a lot of the people in town. I've been through probably 80% of the homes. I recognize some of our weaknesses and our strengths. And I'm willing to discuss several of the issues with the people, and if I don't have an answer, I'll look it up. I'm not the smartest cat in the world. I never claimed to be. But for some reason, I've been able to succeed on my own since I walked out of the house 6 days after graduation. So I feel proud of that and what I've accomplished. And for our community, we need to finish what we start. The Hardacre, bring our community into downtown, back to life. Take care of the citizens, give them something they can be proud of, entertainment for their evening activities. Don't be self-centered on yourself, but look at the community as a whole and not self-serving. And the best part I can say, I've always been asked, I asked the question, why'd you ask me? I go, because we wanted the truth. I go, really? And I am very proud of all the citizens in the community that have asked me those questions. You know, and some of them I can make eye contact with because they knew I was telling the truth. And that's what I'm most proud of.
Thank you, Ron. Luke?
Once again, kind of piggyback a little bit, thank you to the chamber for hosting this tonight. It's nice to get a chance for us all to kind of be in the same room and kind of hear what everyone has to say. And really, I'm pleased that so many of us at the table have similar goals. It makes me feel good about, no matter what happens here, that Tipton's going to be in good hands going forward. Like Mike, I'm the new guy to this. I don't have a lot of experience, new to the community. Sometimes I forget that though, because like I've been here a long time and how welcoming everybody is. Kind of makes you sad that I didn't have a chance to grow up in a community like Tipton. But if elected, I'll work for you. Yeah, that's what we're here for. I have my opinions, you have yours. But my goal on council would be to do what is best for Tipton as a whole, kind of leaving the personal stuff aside. So, thank you.
George?
I think that as citizens of a town, we often will hear things from different people, good, bad, indifferent. And in the city council and the mayor's office are basically the running cogs of this business, of this town. We have to keep in mind that when you hear consternation and people being, upset with one another about one thing or another, that's what people talk about. You talk about the things that need fixed. Nobody's going to say, oh, this looked really great down there. We don't get compliments on positive things. We always end up talking about this problem or that problem, or this needs to be fixed or that needs to be fixed. So we have to keep in mind as those citizens that it's not gloom and doom. It's not bad. Everything is positive and looking up, in my opinion. Now, what does that have to do with me? It was just something that was going through my head. I thought I should tell. But I've not lived here. I wasn't born here. I'm not an Iowan by birth, but I do love this town. I told Sally when we got here, I can't believe it took me 60 years to find out exactly where I wanted to be. And I'm happy to be here. I love the people here and the kindness that people have shown me. And I just hope you give me an opportunity to give back.
Great, thank you. I was just informed that we had time for a question or two. So if someone has a question they'd like to ask the candidates, we can open that up.
I don't have a question, but I want to thank all of them for running for city council. And I think we, as residents of Tipton, need to support our downtown, our activities. We need to be there, our stores, our businesses.
Good, Sharon. Well, on behalf of the chamber, I'd like to thank the candidates for joining us tonight. I thank everyone for coming out, and please stay for refreshments.